years ago at a diner. We found out when we were recording this song. We met at a diner years ago. I was tapping on a table, and I think Jimmy was in his group Amber Blues at the time, and I forget why he gave me his card. He gave me his card that day, and he said, "Yeah, contact me with some kind of information or something." I don't think I ever did. And then we ended up meeting years later. So my first reaction to Maniac, I thought he was crazy and that it wasn't gonna work. That was my initial reaction. And then as it started to come together and I saw his vision, it was more clear, and I saw where he was going with it, and then I realized, I was like, wow, this, I realized how ambitious of a project it was, and I began to really love it, especially because it came out of here. But, it was his little baby, it was like my nephew or something.
I've known Jimmy Clark about 10 years now. This website called MySpace, and started messaging bands to find someone to play with. I was playing saxophone at the time. And his band Amber Blues was one of the bands that I had messaged, and they got back to me, and I just started playing gigs with them, rehearsing with them, recording with them, and that was how we initially met. My first reaction to Maniac, Jimmy had run down into the studio, was super excited, man, you gotta hear this, you gotta hear this. And I gotta be honest, it was in a very raw form. It was just his vocals on a beat. And I heard it and I was like, no. Yeah, I'm not trying to get down with this. He wanted to continue to work on the project here and do more tracking and redo the vocals and this and that. And at first, I gotta admit, my initial reaction was I was not into it. As the track started progressing, he was working with tracking with Joey Papa, and the song started to get more structure and it started to gain more elements. I started to hear the potential in it, and I changed my mind at a certain point and decided to take on the project.
My first reaction to Maniac was, wow. Over 7 minutes long, a very dense sonic landscape, and Jimmy really packed a lot into that track. It definitely gives you a jolt, and very exciting. It definitely lends itself to an aberration of some people that actually lose it in society.
I would just say that maybe the state of humankind these days, a lot of people have something that they're battling on the inside that might be kind of dark. Mm-hmm. So I think that would make it relevant.
There's no doubt about it. It has a lot of dynamics, a lot of punch, and the lyrics are certainly demonstrative. I think people will listen to it and take it as a whole and make their own judgments about it.
It's just terrifying. Jimmy just captured a very, very dark feeling with this track. He definitely channeled whatever the inner workings of a Maniac are.
It really depends on the person. I think that a lot of people in society are callous to horror films. There's a lot of horror films and a lot of that genre of things, and certain people might just find it very entertaining and just enjoyable. But then there are certain people that maybe have a weak stomach, and the intense descriptive words kind of make them uneasy, or the use of gunshot sound effects and screaming and that sort of thing might trigger things in people that make them uncomfortable.
Jimmy's a very creative person. I really enjoy working with him. He always has great ideas, and when he comes to a session, he always has good input as to the direction he wants to go and the final sound that he wants in the recording. He's had a lot of experience in the studio, and he brings that with him to the mastering session.
He's a blast. He's He's fun to watch. He's fun to work with. He loves layering, and so do I. So watching somebody, and layering as in he likes to make sure the song sounds full, and it has it's like a cake, a lot of layers to it, and
Mm-hmm.
and we're both fans of that idea, so we clicked on that right away.
We did a lot of micro editing to make sure all his syllables and consonant sounds were very clear, so all the words could be understood. And we would just do like a lot of critical listening, so he would rely on me to my ear to know if those sort of things were up to par and consistent. So he would be asking me a lot about that kind of stuff. A lot of the creation of the music itself happened with Joey at his studio, and then we came over here and did extra effects and mixing and redoing the vocals and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's interesting that Maniac has no words with the letter E. I think Jimmy thought that was an interesting mental exercise, and you would never know that listening to it, but once you know that, it kind of is interesting and amazing that he can actually make a song with that requirement.
That's the icing on the cake. You know, that's just cool. You know, you hear this track and you know, you think you have it all figured out, and then somebody tells you that there's no E's in it. That's pretty cool. I would have to say the music. The words are impressive, but the music, I really feel like he just captured that really creepy, eerie feeling that would go along with discussing a Maniac.
My favorite element of Maniac, I think, is the music. I really like what he's doing with the low frequencies on there, and a lot of the sonic flavors that he puts in the song. The words are a story unto themselves, but the combination of the two is amazing.
My favorite element is probably a combination of the words with like the sound effects, because I like how the beat and the music just keeps like a consistent drone over the piece, but like I feel like the sound effects really enhance the words.
When he first came here, before we got to Maniac, he had tracked a couple like acoustic ideas. Like it was just him and a 12-string, which were really, really cool songs. Hopefully we'll get to work on them one day. But yeah, he started out with just acoustic stuff. It almost sounded like Zeppelin-y kind of, you know, vibe. It was something in the vein of that. And then that's what really threw me off. When he started just playing on the 12-string acoustic stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I have this one thing that's kind of a spoken word piece," and I was like, "All right, let's try that out." And we ended up tracking like a very rough cut idea of that on the first day, and here we are now.
This is the first time Jimmy has actually come in with a song like this. This song has more of a theatrical feel to it, rather lengthy, and really takes the listener on a ride. Hopefully he'll have more stuff like this in the future.
Oh yeah, Jimmy's got 3 songs that we've been cooking up for the past couple years, and they're all so drastically different, which is pretty interesting. I think people are going to be very surprised to hear. I think people are going to be very surprised to hear his other works as it compares to Maniac, because none of the 3 songs that he's been cooking up are the same in any way.
Basically, I've had the Music Lab since 1991. Before that, I worked for Polygram Records for about 10 years. I ran their studios in Edison, New Jersey. We had 100,000 master tapes, and I built 3 mastering studios for them. Worked on a lot of different projects there, including a lot of the masters for Eric Clapton. Some of the album covers here. Worked on Elton John projects, Cream. Polygram has a tremendous catalog. It's now owned by Universal. They had a lot of Chuck Berry stuff. They had Eric Burdon and the Animals, Roy Orbison, Hank Williams. I did a lot of James Brown CDs back in the day. And jazz. Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Count Basie. I also worked for Sony and BMG and did a lot of projects for them when I opened my own business. Cowboy Junkies, Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Jefferson Airplane. So we've mastered a lot of things here, and we have a good background and experience in the area.
Tell me about yourself professionally. Who have you worked with, and what do you do?
Professionally, let's see. I worked with Jimmy and myself. Not many people. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. That's a weird question, Jimmy. That's a weird one. Who have I worked with? Like, what the fuck?
This guy down the street.
Yeah, like, what? Can we skip that one? Who have I worked with? You make me seem like an asshole. I haven't worked with anybody.
Do you know Bowie? Yeah.
I went to school at William Patterson, got my degree in sound engineering and classical saxophone performance, and started building the recording studio down here in my house a little bit before college, and just continued to pursue it after school. And now I'm mostly just a musician. I play saxophone and keyboards, and I play with a bunch of different bands, and I also produce and engineer.
They might be scared of it. Hopefully not too scared. It's a great song. I mean, even if you're terrified by it, you can appreciate it from a poetic standpoint. I think people are going to enjoy it.
I think the project will speak for itself. He's definitely a maniac.